Hello, Miss Lisa. How are you? We hope that you are doing fine because it's been a very long time since the last time we met. Now, our team, which consists of Adeline, Felia, Azlia, Precia, and Rebecca, are going to present about Apple case study. Let's just get to the presentation. The first part is about Apple corporate governance and stock buyback. So, Carl Icahn, an activist shareholder who had invested a significant amount in Apple stock, proposed a more than 50 billion US dollar share repurchase program during the 2014 fiscal year. If this proposal was approved at the annual shareholders meeting, Apple will be in a position to buy back a significant portion of its own shares on the stock market, which will drive up the stock price. However, Apple's executives and board of directors opposed Ichahn's proposal and recommended that shareholders vote against it. The next part is going to be about the Apple's company overview. So, Apple was incorporated in California in January 1977 with the original name of Apple Computer Inc. Apple's business areas included mobile communication and media devices, personal computers, portable digital music players, various related services, software, and also peripherals. Apple's key strength lay in its unique computing ecosystem, iOS, rather than its superior hardware. iOS provided users with an integrated and seamless experience across multiple devices. Apple's strategy was well known for its strong emphasis on a positive user experience through innovation hardware, software and services, and its historical financial performance was well above the industry average.
Annual meeting. An annual general meeting is a meeting of the general membership of an organization. These organizations include membership associations and companies with shareholders. It is primarily held to allow shareholders to vote on both company issues and the selection of the company's board of directors. In large companies like Apple, this meeting is typically the only time during the year when shareholders and executives interact. For this case, in Apple Company, the annual meeting agenda contained 11 items for discussion, including 4 items that are initiated by shareholders' proposal, which were listed on the company's proxy statement. Ichahn's proposal of stock repurchase was positioned as item number 10 in the meeting, and it is entitled as Shareholder Proposal of a Non-Binding Advisory Resolution relating to the company's capital return program. Shareholders could vote for or against Ichahn's proposal of the stock repurchase program. However, the board had recommended that the shareholders should vote against the proposal. Apple's corporate governance. There were 3 important entities related to Apple's corporate governance. First of all, it is a corporate executive, which means a manager or other executive level staff member of a corporation or other enterprise. Second, it is shareholders, an individual or institution that legally owns one or more shares of stock in the corporation. Shareholders can also be referred as the members of the Apple Company. And lastly, the board of directors, who is in charge in directing and managing the corporation, taking into account the impact of decision on employees, customers, suppliers, communities, and shareholders. The board oversees the conduct of the business and supervises management. In addition, setting an appropriate executive compensation represented an important item for discussion at the annual meeting because it could affect the incentive of executive.
Ownership structure. People who own the company. Apple had attracted a number of major institution shareholders to its roster. Executive and directors also possessed shareholdings, a situation that was referred to as insider ownership. Carl Icahn approached Tim Cook in August 2013 and discussed the stock repurchase program. However, even before Icahn proposal, Apple was engaged in a major stock buyback program. In March 2012, the board authorized a quarterly dividend and stock buyback program worth of $45 billion In April 2013, the company announced that it would be double the size of its planned stock repurchase program and dividend payment to $100 billion by the end of 2015. Board of Directors, people who oversee executive. The board of directors that consists of 8 directors and the CEO oversaw the top executive in order to ensure the operation of the firm were competent enough, proper and ethical, as well aligned with the long-term interests of the shareholders. The board believed that the current separation roles of chairman and COO will help the CEO to focus in managing and operating the company and leverage the chairman's perspective. The committee on Apple's board are in charge of operating under written charters that adopted by the board of directors. The audit committee role is to evaluate the financial transaction and performance, and also to assess the accounting policy and internal control system, while the nominating and corporate governance committee roles are to evaluate potential nominees to the board and assess the effectiveness of the board in monitoring the executive decision-making process. The role for compensation committee is to review and arrange the compensation plan for the executive.
Next, executive compensation. They are in charge of determining the appropriate executive compensation structure and level through the reverence of the companies such as Amazon, Google, HP, IBM, and Microsoft as a peer comparison company. Next, continue to Ichan's proposal stock buyback. Current net value for Apple was sitting on $147 billion. Carl Icahn wants Apple to put the case to work for the company's shareholders and issue its bonds, and use the money to repurchase shares from the public market, which might have possibilities in increasing the stock values of the shareholders. His action made an increase of 5% on the stock price by August 13, with an additional 1.82% for the following day. Icahn then reinstated his interest in the stock buyback on October 24, 2013, with disclosing 4.7 million shares through a letter that was published publicly to CEO Tim Cook. Furthermore, Icahn filed a $50 billion shareholder proposal calling Apple to pay out its cash to the investor 3 days before Apple's annual.
Why vote for the proposal? Icahn claimed that Apple can have a sufficient borrowing ability to spend $50 billion in a stock repurchase without causing any liquidity problems. At least, it can make a good short-term impact on Apple's share price by reducing the number of shares outstanding. Why vote against the proposal? Some shareholders were suggested to vote against Icahns proposal. However, the proposal was believed by some shareholders that it could distract a high-tech company who is focusing on innovating a new product and services. Gerard Tallis from the University of Southern California thinks that it was a matter of outstanding innovation versus financial engineering. In March 2012, Apple made an increase in shareholders' returns by repurchasing a stock worth $45 billion in a quarterly dividend. In April 2013, they made another increase up to $100 billion, raising the dividend and increasing the share buyback to $60 million. The decision: at the annual meeting in February 2014, Apple shareholders will vote to approve or reject Ichan's stock buyback proposal. Ichan would have the option of withdrawing his proposal if he and the company could come to an agreement before the annual meeting. On the other hand, Tim Cook and the other senior executives could choose between the options of making an agreement with Ichan or allowing shareholders to vote at the shareholder meeting. If no action was taken before the shareholder meeting, each side could try to persuade shareholders to vote with them. The time had arrived for Apple's 26,522 shareholders to make a decision. That's all about our presentation. Thank you, Miss, and see you soon. Stay safe.